Hello? Yes. Hello, I'm Adam Kivas. I'm Adam Kivas. I'm here in Ordu in Turkey. It is cloudy, uh, cloudy Tuesday morning. This is the fourth day of an Islamic holiday, so I'm pretty much enjoying or taking a break, if you want, from daily recording. This is actually a new podcast, so welcome to my new podcast. This is it is indeed a continuation of the old one, but it did not work out quite well. I mean, in my old podcast, I had a subscription on Spreaker, but the subscription ended, and I don't have the financial means to continue the subscription. Well, we are in a crisis here in Turkey, as well as around the world. This pandemic and the after effect of the pandemic have and still have a huge impact, as well as on the financial means of some people. I'm struggling to make ends meet, and so it was not very future like, or it would have been it would have put me under a lot of stress if I would have tried to maintain the subscription on Spreaker. But here, thankfully, on the internet there are a lot of free rider ways to record one's podcast, and this is one of these ways. However, in my old podcast about my work as an author, a lot of things went unmentioned. I mean, this wasn't a podcast about my, I would say, development as an author, as a writer, and we talked about a lot of topics. I mean, this is indeed the case. So a lot of various topics which were important for me to my world understanding and the world I see, and I hope it was interesting for all others as well. But I still wanna continue these thoughts, these developments, what goes through my head, especially in the writing processes. I mean, I don't know whether you know it, but I started recording my podcasts because writing has become an issue in that sense. Firstly, I don't have a laptop or any means to write novels anymore. This has become very tricky indeed. And the second thing why it is easy and more convenient to record podcasts, or in order to record your audio files instead of publishing books, or instead of publishing novels via Wattpad or Amazon. That's a cat that's outside. So I'm outside here, so you can hear a lot of animals, cats. It is morning. It is half past 5 in the morning. So I have to record very early, because then after a while, people start driving by with the car, honk the horn, and so on. So this is a very convenient time. However, I mean, it should not bother us. I don't know whether you hear it I use a special voice recorder which mitigates the background noise. So this is not a child, this is a cat actually. These are street cats here in Turkey, in Ordu, on the Black Sea region. However, what I want to talk about is my development. I mean, the podcast I write, why it is more convenient to just record your podcasts and not write it down. There are of course economic reasons, and this is indeed the main economic reasons. I mean, you can easily record a podcast via your mobile phone, which I am doing right now. So it is more convenient. It is cheap. You use less data. So there are a lot of advantages for you to record your podcasts via your phone. It is more easier, it goes very fast because you can speak faster instead of writing things down, and you get used to thinking in a certain way. I mean, it is true if you some sort of record your podcast live, because or any other means on your mobile phone, it is very difficult to record podcast. No, it's not difficult to record it, but it is difficult to edit it. So you would need your laptop or a personal computer or whatever you have. So on the mobile phone you cannot edit very much or not very sophisticatedly. So in that sense, I do not change much on the podcast. So whenever I record something, it stays that way. Did this indeed puts a lot of strength in your recordings, because you want to be adequate, so you cannot much change it. But it becomes then crucial that you some sort of structure beforehand, or that you speak in that way, so that it can be published. So well, it is not easy, but you get used to it. I mean, the advantages surpass the disadvantages, because it is indeed an issue, this financial crisis which we are in, especially the inflation. I mean, you have to make amends, you have to take precaution, because you never know how long these things last. I mean, the last financial crisis in 2008 to 2009, it took for the average Joe 2 years at least to some sort of recover from this pandemic, from this financial crisis. So it is indeed a big issue, and we don't know where this all will end up, and you have to be cautious. This is what I have learned in my life, that you always have to think ahead, that you always have to be aware and be careful, and this is one of these ways. I mean, you have to be adaptable. I mean, I always say to myself, or I try to convince myself that being able to be adaptable, this is one of the key skills you need to have in our time, in our society, because you have to be versed, you have to have intricate skills. There is, especially through the rise of the internet, through mobile phones, more skills are demanded from you. You have to be able to be, for example, multitasking. You have to be able to multitask. You have to be able to, and this is one of the big issues, especially if you are a writer or if you are a novelist or if you record a podcast. You have to be able for 1 hour or even half an hour to be able to really concentrate yourself, to focus your thoughts, to really put things together. And this is indeed, you need to have a lot of will strength that you can for half an hour and an hour concentrate your thoughts, structure your thoughts. I mean, this is like if you want a marathon, and for half an hour and an hour you have to be very strong in your mind to get things done. And then of course everyone says this, but no one really knows this, that you have to be creative. And this is of course in our time and in our society very important to be creative, to be able to come up with new ideas and some sort of constantly improve yourself. This is another skill. You need to be able to look or judge yourself. Okay, maybe not judge, but to evaluate your process as an artist. If I would say more solemnly, or that you have to be critical with yourself, and every critique you use on yourself helps you to improve. So you have to look at yourself in a different perspective, because no one will ever tell you the truth. That's especially in our society. People always want to be nice. They don't want to hurt your feelings, or they just don't care, because a lot of people who might be listening to these podcasts might think, yeah, why do I care? This is just a dude who talks about him and about his processes as a writer. So why do I care? So these are so people will never tell you the truth. Either they are too friendly, or they are just mean, or just don't care. So you have to be honest with yourself. This is the important thing, and that you have to be able to be truthful with yourself, that you critically highlight your processes, that you can some sort of evaluate your work critically. And I always said, if you're an author, if you're an artist, especially if you're a good artist, and if you know what you're doing, then you always know whether you did something good or bad. If I write a novel, or if I record a novel, then I always some sort of feel whether it is good or bad. So you have this special feeling, if you want, as an artist, whether it is good or bad, that this doesn't leave you so some sort of a sixth sense you feel, especially with artwork. You know, if you're an artist, if you're a true artist, you know whether your work is good or whether it is bad, and you know, and if you wanna develop developed, then you will have to be able to work on your self, to work on your art form. So this is another thing, that you have to be critical, and you have to be, I would say, down to earth, meaning that you must not assume that you as an artist have already accomplished a lot, and that you only have to bring it on paper or on the canvas, but that you realize that you have to learn a lot, that you have to educate yourself a lot, and that art is some sort of a self-discovery, and it takes long, and it never stops. So there are a lot of issues, and there are a lot of skills to be successful, or which might help you to be successful in a society. It's not easy to be successful. I mean, I'm not successful. At least I've seen the last stats. So no, not many people are listening to my podcast. I mean, it is indeed something which might be assumable, or which might be make everyone thoughtful. I mean, there are not many people listening to your podcasts. You don't know of course, whether there are a lot of ghost listeners, or whether this is indeed genuine. However, I take it face value, and then of course you have to ask yourself, where does this lead you? I mean, should you continue? Does this make any sense? These are all questions which may bother anyone. Well, I would be lying if it would bother me. I mean, I always said it in the past. It would be some sort of, indeed, I would appreciate when more people would listen to my podcast. This would ensure income, but in the end, I do this all for me, for my own psyche, for my own well-being. So this is whether people listen to these. Well, I cannot change people's minds. I don't care about it. So in the end, it is always about you, and this is I think one of the main reasons, or one of these skills, another skill you need to have as an artist, that you have to work on yourself, and as well as be able to evaluate whether your work is worth it, because like I said, no one will do this for you. People may don't know about you, or they just don't care, or whatever they have, and you need to believe in your self. This is I think this is one of the most difficult tasks, to believe on yourself, especially if you do not see any results, because you're still groping in the dark. You still some sort of try to figure out stuff, try to figure out how things will work out, and where this all will go, and then you need a lot of judgmental power, and I believe in yourself and in your abilities that you will succeed, that you will accomplish these things, and so on. So it is a lot of processes, and I have talked about it in a great deal already. So nothing has changed still, and still here, especially here in this aftermath of this pandemic, of here in Turkey with rising inflation and with this world economy in shams. Here more than ever you ask yourself, should I do something else? Or more than ever, especially if you struggle to make ends meet, you will sort of doubt yourself. You will ask yourself, shouldn't I be doing something else? Especially, what is life? You will ask yourself, what is survival? Is life only about survival? Should I just get out there and do anything, just survive by any means necessary, and everything else is just second. There is this what we should believe in, and so on and so forth. So these are a lot of questions you are ailed with. Everyone is be part of them in everyone's life. In everyone's life, there are moments where you have to ask yourself, is the way I'm pursuing, is the path I'm walking, is this all worthwhile? Shouldn't I be doing something else? It is difficult indeed. And then you have to ask yourself, what is life? Is life? Should I just don't care? Should I just live? And then, of course, what is the right experience? Some in the Greek philosophy, at least in some parts, the ancient Greeks, they always assumed that you know whether your life was worthwhile at the end of your life, not at the beginning. So there are a lot of questions, and there are indeed a lot of thoughts in this. So I have to live on. I have to make decisions, and then only at the end of my life I will know whether it was all worth it, whether I have accomplished anything. Well, yes, partially, but even during your life and how you live, even right now, you still see or should see some results. You should see some way, some path which will lead somewhere, or you will lose anything. This is of course, you ask yourself, especially everyone reaches this point in his life. Is my goal even worth pursuing anymore? And then of course you have to have a real goal. Not everyone has real goals, because most of us, at least this was in my youth, and the people I was surrounded with, most of them only cared about one thing, and this was survival. I don't care about anything but of survival. And maybe this is all about life. Maybe you could say at the end of your life, well, I survived. There were a lot of crises. There were a lot of people who lost everything. But in the end, I succeeded in surviving. In the end, I could make it through the end. And isn't this a success story as well? Yeah, maybe, but it is some sort of a feeling of void. Life is so short. I know everyone says this. I know there is no better thing to say this and all these stupid phrases. Yeah, life is short. Life is very important. Yeah, but most of the time you waste your life. You waste it on nothing, and it is difficult, and especially in my case, I survived a trauma. I went through hell and most of my life. So there, if someone comes along and says, yeah, you have to use every opportunity, you have to make the best of your life, and I always say, yeah, well, go fuck yourself. I survived atrocities. I went through hell, and these people did not stop ruining my life. So it was not my choice. It was not my life choice which led to this very moment, which led to these points. So this is indeed a big issue in that sense. So it is always easy if you have some sort of lived through a well-cushioned life, if you lived through merry childhood, to come along and say, yeah, well, you have to make the best of your life, or you have to be just successful, or whatever, or that everything would depend on your mindset. Well, it is true, everything depends on your mindset. If you are in hell's kitchen, if you have to go through hell, then it depends a lot on your mindset, especially so that you do not crumble, so that you do not go nuts. This is, I think, one of these issues, but it is always easier said than done. And those people who make all these motivational speeches, and I'm one of them too. I occasionally record some motivational speeches. However, these motivational speeches, they are mostly meant for or molded for people who are not hampered by nightmares. They are not hampered by trauma. They are not hampered by what they have experienced. They just need a motivation to get up every day. They just need a motivation to just find ambition. They are not fighting demons or whatever. So this is, there are a lot of perspectives on your life. This is all how you see it, what you want to see it, and it is not easy. I know it from my own experience. every day I lived on this earth was a struggle, was a war, was a struggle for survival. This never leaves you. This is something which you can never abandon and leave behind. So what is the best receipt for success? I don't know. I wouldn't know. As far as me concerned, if I would be successful, it would be rather depend on chance than on really foresight. And this is not a good thing. If your life is built on chances, if your life is some sort of built on occasions where you might succeed or might not succeed, this is madness. And you will lose your mind, because building your life on chance means, yeah, you could be successful today, but tomorrow everything could change, and it will change, and this is not something you want to go through with. This is all crappy, if you ask me, and it is indeed crappy, because this is especially, let's say, if you are a writer and you have success with one novel, if you can't figure out what's the cause of the success, what's the origin, then you will never be able to trust your ability. If you do not know your audience, your people who want to read stuff about you, or not about you, but what you write, who want to be entertained by your work, by your artwork, well, you will have to be able to some sort of see through them and see what they want to listen to, or at least can. If you're a good writer, then you create stories which some sort of captivate people, so that you don't waste too much time thinking about what would they read. No, you generate these interesting stories and so on. So a lot of stuff, a lot of thoughts go in all these things indeed. So it is a struggle, and especially it is a struggle for me. I mean, it is not only a physical struggle. I mean, I have struggled financially throughout my life. I mean, I did not grow up wealthy. We were not poor. I mean, we were not poor. I grew up in modest means. So a bit of struggling. It's no big matter, isn't it? Because in the end, you have to be thankful that you have a roof above your head. But struggle is rather, especially in the last years, struggling was for me mainly to deal with those issues I had in my youth. I mean, with those traumatic events. And if you are a victim of abuse and these things, they are all different. I mean, I talked about this and I will never stop talking about it. But if you're a victim of trauma or some serious traumatic events, these things, they never leave you alone. They haunt you. They do not leave you alone. I mean, you dream about it. You think about it. Even right now, even days pass by where I think only about it, where I only think about what happened. I mean, where you, of course, are infuriated. I mean, these things, they happened to you. They destroyed you. And they destroyed the lives of many others. Indeed, you know that, but it is mainly you. I mean, your life was destroyed. Your life was ruined. You could not change it, and this leaves some sort of a void. I mean, if I only try to remember my childhood, my youth, there's a lot of things missing. Only later I found out. I mean, why? So people, or these pedophiles in school who abused many children, they drugged them, they erased their memories, and they did it all in plain sight. I mean, if you some sort of think about this, I mean, there's a lot of years, a lot of experiences in your life, they are missing, and I mean, even though if you remember this, because sooner or later you remember parts of this, and this is a very hard and severe process. I mean, if you remember stuff from your past which has been so long, I mean, which has been in your childhood, these are decades we are talking. I mean, I'm over 30, and some of these things that happened to me, they are almost more than 25 years back. So even though if you remember this, is you never remember these things as a part of you. No, you rather remember them as something distant. And if you some sort of work, if you want to work through your trauma, then you, these things are very difficult, because you, firstly, you cannot believe that these things happened to you. I mean, all this time they drugged you, they erased your memories, so you could never really deal with all this stuff. You could never work through this stuff. So all these years you some sort of lived oblivious, and then once in your life, now you're over 30, you are alone, you're stuck alone, and then you start to remember stuff from your youth, from your childhood, and you did not believe these things, or you do not believe this stuff. You initially you think that these are some sort of just something which might have happened to someone else, but then more and more you realize, no, this was me, I'm the victim, I'm the one, this happened, these things happened, and you are all left by you alone, you are all left by yourself to deal with these issues, to deal with this trauma. And this is, I think, one of the most struggling things, most grueling things, that you are alone in this, and that you have to find your way out of it, make sense of it. I mean, even though if you remember this, a lot of your childhood is lost, a lot of your thoughts and experiences are lost, and not only do you see the world from one perspective, and this is the perspective of being a victim, of being the one these people could do, this whose life they ruined. It is not only that, so that everything for that matter has only one perception or one notion, and this is to be a victim. Now you some sort of think to yourself, there must have been at least some blissful days in my childhood, some joyous days in my childhood, but they were all erased. You do not remember them. You only see see your self as a victim. You are devoid of any positive experiences which would make you human, which would give you some sort of experience about life, about how beautiful life could be. No, but these things, they are all missing. They are erased from yourself. I don't know whether they exist, whether I had blissful days in my youth, in my childhood. Well, you do not remember. You only remember a black box, and more you unwrap this black box and you see hideous stuff. You remember hideous stuff, and nothing is left. And there is always hate. This is always what gets you. Hatred, deep hatred. I mean, how could you think any differently? I mean, there were people who ruined your lives. There were these people who did with you whatever they wanted, and they got away with it. This is the worst thing that you have to deal with. I mean, they got away with it. They could do with you whatever they wanted because they thought you were lucky, or that you are low life, and that you are their servants, and they could do with you whatever they want. I mean, this is a hard thing to deal with. I mean, because you have to think, and you are constantly reminded about your value as a human being. I mean, am I worth it? Anything? Some people thought that my life was not worth anything. That's why they could do with me whatever they want, and still thereafter did with me whatever they want. They thought my life was not anything but inferior. So this is a lot to deal with your self-esteem, with who you are, and and what you want to do with yourself and with your life and their life choices. Well, your life was already molded. It has been taken away from you. Your life was already chosen. Decisions have been made for you. So there is not much you can change anymore once you have went through this hell. I mean, then you feel burned out. I mean, there are days in my life where I think where I really try to remember. I mean, have you any positive experiences? I mean, have you any blissful experiences in your life? I mean, especially now where you start to remember this over and over again, what happened to you, and what and you remember these hideous and despicable people who ruined your life, and you still ask yourself, you try to conjure up some memories where you some sort of assume, well, do I have any experience, any positive experience which would be worthwhile thinking, which was blissful and which would be telling about you. This is about, I think, very important for your human identity. All these experiences you have, either with your loved ones, with your parents, with your friends, these experiences, they make you those emotions. A human being lives through emotions. A lot of philosophers actually say this. As a human being, you are the sum of all your emotions, and these emotions, they lead to your special understanding of your self, your feeling, your emotion, your sentiment. I mean, these are very crucial, and you do not forget these, of course. But what if all your emotions, all the memories you have about the past, what if they are only about you struggling to survive, you being dragged through hell, and this over and over again when people could not leave you alone? I mean, this really destroys you in that way, because you some sort of feel this burned out, not out of an exhaustion, not like burnout like you would see. I'm burned out because I'm exhausted. No, this is a burned out you some sort of feel because you don't have any positive experiences. I mean, this is some sort of a sentiment of your life, your feeling and perception of life, that you do not have any blissful, positive experiences about life. This is, I think, the hard stuff to deal with, to go through. And then what's left? What is left? I mean, after, if you have nothing to some sort of shelter you with, and this is what you have to think about as well, or think it in a way as well, especially if you go through hard times. Some of us, for them it is easy to go through hard times. Why? Because they have a lot of memories about good times where they can, in a way, assure themselves that everything will be fine, that they will be able to come up on their feet one day, that they will be able to go through this and unscathed, or whatever you have. But then, I mean, if you have no positive experiences, I mean, if you struggle, this is very hard. If you have struggled for all your life, and if your life was up to that point nothing but savage survival, then these things, they change you. I mean, then you see things differently. Then it is not about a goal anymore. You don't say, yeah, well, if I accomplish this and that, then, well, it is hard to describe, but then your life has some sort of no energy. It is cold. It is without any joy. It is rugged. It is lifeless, loveless, and you just try to make ends meet. You just, like, not only financial but as well as psychological, you only try to get through this, try to accomplish something, and then it is hopefully over. So you some sort of tumble from survival to survival. This is all what it is. This is all what life then in the end comes through, and then you are some sort of dominated by one emotion, and this is then hatred. I mean, you have lost your youth, you have lost your childhood, and these people could do this with you, whatever, over and over for years, and no one stopped it. It happened in plain sight. I mean, you hate the world, you hate everyone, but you cannot change it. I mean, this is true. Everyone says it. I mean, this is another of these stupid phrases. Well, you cannot bring back time, you cannot change it, and so on. Well, this is true, but it's not in a way that if you do not punish these people, that you will have no satisfaction or whatever. No, it is rather that you indeed cannot bring back memories, or that you can fill the void you have lived through. I mean, this nothingness you have experienced, and which some sort of still ails you, still staunches you. So nothing can change that. I mean, it does not soothe you. It does not mitigate the pain you feel because of the loss. The loss you don't know what. The loss you some sort of assume you would have deserved childhood, another trauma. This is what you deal with. This is what you struggle with. I mean, nothingness. This is what you, in the end, what in the end it all comes to, that you have lost so much of your life, and somehow it is then gone forever. And of course you cannot bring back time, because it would then change you. I mean, this is another one of these reasons, especially if you went through a trauma. You always ask yourself, if this wouldn't have happened, would I have some sort of known blissfulness? Would I have known joy, or a carefree life? I mean, or how would my life have been? I mean, this is something you always ask yourself, especially if you are a victim of abuse. I mean, firstly you always ask yourself, why me? Why did these scumbags did this with me? And then you always ask yourself, how would have my life changed if this wouldn't have happened? I mean, this would have, and this ails you, this bothers you, this does not leave you alone. You, no matter whether you try to switch it off, no matter whether you try to leave this behind, this never leaves you. You keep constantly thinking about it, how your life would have been, how it would have been changed. Maybe you assumed to yourself, well, maybe I would have been lucky, maybe I would have had all, maybe I would have enjoyed my life. I mean, these thoughts, they always pester you, they always, and you cannot switch them off because you always keep thinking about your abuse. So if you have been abused, you keep thinking about this abuse. You go over it over and over again. I mean, it doesn't stop. It doesn't leave you, and it is true that you then come to the conclusion, yeah, I cannot change it, it happened, but it makes you vengeful, it makes you hateful, it makes you to hate the world. This is, I think, the worst thing, that you have to make your peace with it. And this is hard. I mean, it is always easier said than done. Yeah, well, you have to make your peace with it. You cannot change it anyway. Well, you have been ruined. You have been burnt. Your life has been destroyed thoroughly. I mean, you are the human you are right now. This is not someone you are supposed to be. This is one of these thoughts you keep thinking about yourself, and then you feel this wrath, this hatred, I mean, to these people, and then this is what happened. Then to me it was not over. I mean, these scumbags, they abused you, they destroyed your life, and then it was not over. Even years later, their families, they came after you. They thought, well, let's pick up where one of our relatives left off. Even to this very day here in Turkey, you see this family of this abuser, of this scumbag, and they're sneaking around you. You see them, you have to face them every day, and it makes you hate them. It makes you despise them. I mean, you see these people's faces. You are always struck with them every day and every night, and this again some sort of leaves you stranded to a feeling of hopelessness, so that you cannot avoid it, so that these people, that they are everywhere, that again you feel the weakness. You feel weakness because you assume they can do with you whatever they want. They have power over you, and this is what I felt in Austria, as well as here in Turkey, where you always meet these people, and they some sort of act around you in a certain way, act around you as if they would be entitled to do with you whatever they want, as if your life would belong to them, and you can't do anything else but hate them and despise them. And this is what I do. I hate all of these families. I mean, how could you anything else? I mean, what do you want to do? Forgive them? I mean, after what happened, I mean, these people ruined your lives, and then you have no peace after that, and you still have to deal with the families of these jerk-offs and of these scumbags, and these things, they make you infuriated. You lose your mind, and again you are brought back to this thought. I mean, how much is my life worth? I mean, what do these people see in me? This is again something you are bothered with. You try to figure out, and this is again what many victims of abuse think and go through. This is how other people perceive me. this is especially when you think of yourself, and especially keep repeating the same thought, why me, why was I chosen, and maybe, and then you some days you think I was chosen to be a victim because I some sort of may appear like a victim, maybe I may appear weak, and so, and this was the reason why they chose me. Where this is the reason why some felt entitled to ruin my life, and this is one of these thoughts you have, or a lot of your time is being wasted on this thought that some apparently think that you are weak, that you're meek, and that they can do with you whatever they want, and that they would own your life, and they are entitled to your life and destroy your life. And then you always some sort of try to assume or understand, or try to put yourself in all these others. How, and you ask yourself, why do or how do these people perceive me? What do they see in me, and what gives them entitlement to destroy my life? And then you always ask yourself, well, maybe. And then later on, if you are surrounded by these people, by these scumbags, families, and then you ask yourself, they are back again, they do not leave you, they bother you, they pester you, and then you still some sort of ask yourself, what do they see in me? Do they see in me a weak man, or do they see in me someone that they can just kill or do whatever they want? And this makes you infuriated. This makes you vengeful. How could you forgive these peoples who think and assume that your life is not worth anything, that your life is not valuable, nothing of that kind? I'm no priest, and I'm not a saint. And how could anyone forgive them? This is nonsense. This is ridiculous. You cannot forgive anyone who has destroyed your life, who has left nothing but ashes. And no, this is stupid, and you cannot forget this. This is impossible. Even to this very day, you are faced by these people. Even to this very day, they don't leave you alone. So what is going on there? So it is not how things work. It is not how things work in reality, that's for sure. So, and then you are left with all these struggles with trying to find your way. And then you always keep asking yourself, what is life? Is life only about survival? You have to face these peoples every day, and it really demands from you some sort of a cool head, or else you lose it, or else you lose it all. This is a big issue. I mean, there are some days you feel this wrath. You feel this hatred, and it goes above your head. It takes from you a lot of self-control, so that it is a struggle actually every day, especially if you see these people and you think yourself, these people, they apparently think of you as if you would be a victim. They apparently think of you as if they could do with you whatever they want, and this it makes you infuriated. It makes you vengeful, hateful. You see their stupid faces, and they somehow, in a way or another, they resemble these people's faces who did this to you, who could do this to you, who thought they were entitled to do. You see their stupid, smug faces. You see their ugly faces, their stupid smiles, and you see that they some sort of mock you. At least you feel that way. You assume, now look at this, as if it was not enough that you went through hell. Now you have to deal with them as well, and now they act around you as if nothing happened, as if it wouldn't be anything worse. As if nothing happened at all. I mean, this is a lot of stuff to think through, and you're struggling to be civil in that sense. You still have this notion. Well, we live in a civilized society. Well, civilized meaning that we all have an understanding of good and right, but then more and more you see that these people, they twist and turn good is right, moral consciences. You more and more realize that they some sort of have put themselves above law, and even worse of all, that they just transgress those notions and the frontiers of dignity, what you would seem fit. And then you always ask yourself, and this is something you struggle through as well, I mean, can you deal with these things in a non-violent way? Huh? Can you talk and sort out things? And even if you do, what you want to say, this is, especially if you're a victim, I mean, you all these years, even though I was drugged, and I've been drugged, and I forgot most of it, but nevertheless, all these years, you some sort of assume that you have been quiet, that you didn't say anything, that you some sort of didn't stand against it, didn't stand your ground, that you let it happen. I mean, this is the worst thing you have to go through, especially if you're a victim, that you always have to, that you always in your mind have this recurring theme that you let it happen. That there would have been a chance, there would have been a lot of chances where you could have stopped it, but then you failed, and you failed miserably. You could not save your family, you could not save your parents. It was your weakness, and then you some sort of analyze everything what might have happened, every wrong turn you took. And this is worse of it. I mean, this is when you really struggle. This is when you really some sort of go through hell. If you some sort of judge yourself as weak as this person who could not take care of himself, this person who was weak. And now this is happening again. Now you again see these scumbags sneaking around you, and you again see in their ugly, stupid and despicable faces a resemblance to all these people who have ruined your life before, who have destroyed your life before. And then you again say, some sort of judge yourself. You again say to yourself, well, now this is all happening again. Now they think of me as a victim again. Now these scumbags, they sneak around me again, like all this happened in primary school. I mean, and you still keep thinking about primary school. I mean, you how audacious these people were. I mean, they could do with you whatever they want, and they just went in there. They pretended to be my teachers in primary school, and then secondary school. I mean, these people, they don't have any moral conscience. They don't have any belief in right and wrong. No, they were lacking this completely, and maybe this is maybe one of the reasons why their depraved relatives sneak around you, that they are inept to feel any moral values, any conscience. I mean, that they do not see that they acted wrong, and this is hereditary. It is in their blood. At least this is what you assume, that's in their blood. And then you left to wonder, you left to thoughts. What should you make of it? Where does this leave you? What should you do with these peoples when in your past, in your childhood, so many peoples try to kill you, try to ruin your lives, and yet still in this age, it's in my age, I'm over 30 now, this hasn't stopped now. You still have to struggle, you still have to fight. Still people think that they have the right to get rid of you, that they have the right to do with you whatever they want, judge about your life. And this is again something which leaves you with a lot of hatred and with a lot of vengefulness, and then you see these people, I mean, where they're stupid, smug smiles, and they're laughing, and you some sort of assume they're laughing at you, these scumbags. I mean, you are this victim, you are this child who went through hell, and these things, they never come to rest, and it is not only happening, it's to you, it even affects your children, and this is these thoughts. And these thoughts, they are indeed very severe. They destroy you, and it is hard to some sort of overcome this. It is like a barrier. You assume that you could not change it, that you are unable to change it, that you are not able to overcome all this. And again, you are doomed to watch. Again, you are doomed to stand your ground. Again and again, it's some sort of history repeats itself over and over again, and you still can't break out of it. You still can't come together. Your life is still hampered with, and this makes you vengeful, this makes you hateful, there are some days where I really am incensed, and I just want to stab them, and I really want to kill them in the most gruesome way, punish them. Because you some sort of want to get relief. This is what you in a way assume as well. I mean, they are laughing at you. They have ruined your life. They have destroyed your childhood. They have erased it, and it was apparently not enough. So they still go after it. They still want more, and you still don't have peace. And not only you, your children and all your families. I mean, these scumbags, they even go after them, and you, well, something dies in you there. I mean, this is madness in a way. It is hard to go through all this vengefulness, and some sort of try to work it through writing. I mean, writing is in a way a therapy. Yes, it is. You can try to deal with it through writing, but it doesn't help you a lot, only a little bit. You still are left with all these thoughts. You still have to find your way out of it. I mean, writing only helps you partially. It still leaves you stranded. It is crap. It was always crap. And then you struggle, and you some sort of can't make it through it. You are unable to overcome it. And then in the end, you are back again, and you ask yourself, well, what is life What is life? What is the meaning of my life? What is the meaning of my own existence? I mean, should I let it pass? I mean, this is always easier said than done. I mean, let it pass. Apparently, there are people who assume that your life is not worth anything and that they can take it away. I mean, this is not, you cannot just walk past it. I mean, especially if you have children and you assume and you think that they can do with them as well whatever they want. I mean, one of the saddest things is that you have even children with them. This is I think struggling again. So it never stops. It does never. It goes on and on and on, and this is fucked up. It really is fucked up. And then what then? What comes then? Well, maybe through writing, through expressing your mind, you can overcome it in a way or another. But in the end, it all comes down to this nothingness, to this void, and you don't know what to do with it all. What of it? What of it? This is what you have to ask yourself. What of it? But we'll see about this. I mean, I tried to work it through in my novels, in my artwork, but it is some sort of still struggling. Now it is struggling because life is filled with emotions, and even though if you want to move on, even though if you want to some sort of start a new chapter in your life, this is not possible. You cannot leave it behind because it is constantly around. It is constantly following you, pursuing you, and you grow hateful. You hate these people. You hate this family. It is about you, even though you think a lot about all the people's lives they have ruined and they have destroyed. You think about them and as well. I mean, that they were victims. There are victims who, like you, and maybe they don't know. Maybe their minds have been erased as well. I mean, these things, they have been going on for decades, and nothing stopped them. No one did anything against it. I mean, this is what Austria is all about. In Austria, people like to watch. This is what the Austrian mindset is all about. This is what the Austrian conscience is all about. They watch calamity. They watch things happening in front of your eyes. They watch people's lives to be ruined and destroyed. I mean, this is again hatred, and what you are left as a victim is hatred of Austria, hatred against this family, and damn them. And you say to yourself, I mean, hate does not change you, but what is left, this is what you have to ask yourself. What do you have anything else than hatred, deep despise? What is left there? Anything? You didn't have a life. You didn't have a normal human life. You didn't have normal experiences whatsoever. These scumbags, these parasites, they have destroyed everything of it. You have nothing left then hatred, which you need, because in order to remind you and yourself that you are no more victim anymore, that they must not do this with you anymore, and yet you still can't stop it. So you need hatred in order to be self-aware, because in all these years you some sort of remember and think of the passed in all these years. I mean, I was oblivious. I didn't know what was happening around me. I mean, these people, they drugged me, they fooled me, they just acted around me. They pretended around me. Your life and all the experiences you have, especially after your memories were erased, they are nothing but a sham. They are not real. They are a lie. They do not represent reality. They do not show you what really happened, because this is another one of this sick, or this is another part and was another part of the sick game that these people, they abused children, then drugged them, and then acted around them as if nothing happened. I mean, as if they would be all friends and so on. So it is really some scary stuff happened in Austria. This is hideous what happened in Austria. And they acted around you as if everything would be fine, as if you would be friends and so on. So it is scary how sick and depraved this family truly are, and then they don't have any moral conscience or whatsoever. They do what they think they are entitled to do. This is hideous. This is indeed hideous, and then you have to deal with this, and you assume, I mean, what went through the mind of these people while they did it, while they destroyed the lives of many, while they destroyed your life. I mean, this is again back where you, as a victim, deal with your trauma, where you ask yourself, why me? Why did they do this to me? Couldn't I have had just a normal life? I mean, this is hideous. This is indeed hideous. And again, what's left is hatred. And if I see one of them, and if I see one of this fucking family, I'm really struggling to keep things together. This is how much I hate them. This is how much I despise them. And nothing is going to change that. I mean, these despicable people, and they are truly despicable, and they walk around, I mean, without any moral conscience, nothing. No, this is hard. This is really hard to go through it all. What a mess we are, you know. It is indeed a mess, what this is all about. Well, struggle, and this is what it is. Life is all a struggle, and I've not known anything else than struggle. You only have experienced your life through this. I mean, this is not something you should be proud of. Of course, there were some who will come along and maybe quote Nietzsche and say, what didn't kill me made me stronger. No, this is crap. This is bullshit. Most of the time, if you're a victim of abuse, you think that something in your life is missing, as if you haven't been betrayed of something great, of your humanness, of your humanity, of your human conscience, that this was robbed from you, that you have been deceived of this. This is, I think, heavy and very, 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 very difficult to deal with. And everyone who tells you that revenge and vengeance does not give you justice, this person has no idea. Well, it gives you justice. It gave me justice when this scumbag died, and all these abusers. It relieves you because you somehow think that this person lives along, continues his life as if nothing happened, enjoys his life as if nothing happened, that this person even thinks or has this mindset that he or she could get away with it, and it gives you satisfaction and the notion of justice that this people have met their end, because or else it would have been probably unbearable for you to some sort of having to think about it every day, that these people live on, continue living, even joyous or enjoying their lives, and after yours and the lives of many have been ruined. I mean, this is I think way more harder to deal with than anything else. This is I think the worst thing, the worst part of it. So it relieves you in that sense. So revenge, it indeed relieves you, no matter what people say. It is really some sort of hatred. It's some sort of relieves your hatred. Whatever it is, I mean, it is. We'll see. I mean, this is where this all has led to. I mean, this is, if you think about all what happened. I mean, if you think about the hell you went through and you tried to make sense of it. I mean, this is so mind-boggling that this happened. I mean, in plain sight. I mean, everyone knew about it. No one did anything against it. I mean, and everyone even tried to find excuses for them, as if this would be the normalst, as if this all would be normal, that some people take fake IDs, sneak in to a school, pretend to be teachers, and then abuse children. I mean, as if this would be normal, and you saw a lot of, and you heard and saw a lot of people, especially from the left, who try to excuse them and their behavior. Yeah, well, what should they do, and so on. I mean, this is so sick. This is so depraved, and you can't wrap your head around it. You still think to yourself, I mean, this is the world we live in. I mean, this is the savage world we live in. And what is this all about? I mean, what is going on in this world? I mean, this is something which is very difficult to deal with. I mean, and again, it all comes down to you thinking about it. Well, they did it probably only because they thought that my life and the lives of all these others, they're not worth anything. They probably thought that we were only like case, that we would only be low lives, and what happens of it. I mean, all these years, I mean, I wasn't able to speak out against it. I mean, you could not stop it. I mean, a lot of people's lives were destroyed, and you could not stop it. You could not do anything against it. I mean, this is sickening. It is maddening, and this happened in front of everyone. And the worst thing is then later, years later, even decades later, when it all came out. I mean, the worst thing was that these abusers, that these pedophiles, they had a lot of supporters, people who would do anything for them, who even excuse accused them, and this went up to Hollywood, and all these scumbags who could apparently find words, soothing words, for these peoples, as if we would, or we should try to understand them. I mean, these sick people, after what they did, I mean, this is maddening, and this is again something political, and you have to ask yourself: would they have defended them? Would they have spoken in favor of them? Would they have some sort of try to speak for them in public, try to excuse their behavior if they weren't being left? I mean, this is something which you some sort of got the notion of, that the only reason why these pedophiles were excused was because they were from the left, because their fellow party members try to do everything to excuse them. This is I think this was the worst stuff of it all. So and all these things you have to go through. Yeah, this is struggling in that sense. What it was, and you some sort of assume that moral values, conscience, or even ethics, they do not work anymore. They are not applicable anymore. So it is rather important which party you belong to, which political affiliation you have. This is, I think, in our time more and more the dominant form. So no matter what someone did or what this person committed, if this person is a member of your political clique, of your political party, you will do anything to defend this person, no matter how hideous this person's crimes are. This is what has shown itself. This is what was proven in the media and so on. And this is, I think, sad. This is some sort of the death of humanity. Or the worst thing, that you come along and say, yeah, well, some of these victims, they deserved it. I mean, this is maddening. This is sad. And this in times of Me Too movement and the left, and they all went on the streets, and they protested, and they went all on the barricades and so on, and then they come along and say, yeah, well, some of these victims, they apparently deserved to be ruined. Their lives apparently was destined to be destroyed. I mean, this is something, again, you have to deal with, and this again is something you think a lot about it, about what means life, and again about the value of your life. I mean, what is your life worth, or how do other people see you? As if are they allowed to destroy your life and so on? Do people assume that that your life would be worthless, so that others can destroy them? I mean, this is maddening. This is indeed despicable and fucking maddening. Again, and then again, you are left with hatred. There is nothing else than hatred. You can't have anything but hatred. This is what it is. Hatred reigns your life. Hatred reigns my life. I mean, how can you think any different if some people assume that you are not worth anything, and that who gives a shit whether your life was ruined or not. I mean, it is all maddening, and still, it is all in my thoughts over and over again. So this was for today. I mean, I will stop here. So this was me again, thoughtfully, from Ordu, from Turkey. We are still here. I'm still here, and yeah. I hope that you take care of yourself. This is a nasty world we live in. This is really a hideous world we live in.